This morning's guest spent his early years bussing tables at the Sea Captain's house. Today, he's the chairman of the board of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. Who is he? You'll meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Marriott Resort at Grand Dunes. We're focused on the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're visiting with its chairman of the board, Steve Chapman. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
How exciting to think, of course, here last Thursday, the 67th annual meeting of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. So much going on, so much happening that day. And what about some of those great featured speakers?
They were. It was great. It was a great event. First of all, because of the attendance we had. I think it's we've never had that many. We actually had to cut off the ticket sales, and we're trying to expand the room. And due to another event next door, we were limited in doing that. So, it's great. The membership's growing, and that's great for the chamber. That's the heart and soul of our Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely, membership. And
the speaker, Rhonda Rich, she was great in the morning, and with the titles of the books she writes, the Southern women.
Southern women know, and it's what they know about flirting.
She was a character. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed listening to her, and actually I wouldn't say I'd ever read it. It's not a book I would pick out to buy and read, but with what she said, it almost makes you want to go get one if a man to go get one and go
She
buy.
actually was with us yesterday and the day before here filming. She came back to spend some time with us. Of course, very exciting. She highlighted that a lot of her readers for her column, Dixie Divas, which is in our show sponsor, the Herald, that she's gotten about 65 papers, but she highlighted that a lot of her readers are men. About 40% of them are men.
Okay. Well,
John Schlatter last Thursday from Associated
Maybe
Insurers.
I'm not out of sync in saying
exactly.
that.
No, even more exciting, she actually wrote a book about NASCAR. I think it's My Life in the Pits.
Yeah, so I believe it would be right on that a guy may want to pick up, and maybe I'm not too far off, I guess.
Not at all. Not at all. There's so many things going on in the Myrtle Beach area, and obviously this new commitment for you as chairman of the board of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. There is a ton going on. Brad Dean talking last week, probably one of the biggest cheerleaders for the area, but a lot that was discussed in the chamber luncheon last week.
Absolutely. And like I said earlier, it was there's great attendance. Had a lot of people out. Membership has been going well. They're recruiting enough new members and renewing of old memberships, and so the membership is the lifeblood of the chamber.
Oh yeah.
And then also with this new marketing co-op, us being able to find through a creative, innovative way of getting new dollars raised to help market and promote the destination on a scale that we've never even, we've dreamed of in the past, but never been able to get there. And to say that this coming year that we'll likely or get very close to spending 5 times what we spent 2 years ago.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. It's a credit to Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach has always been one to when the time was needed and when it was a challenge we were presented with a challenge like we are today, and finding the funds to compete with the destinations who go after our market share. We've always managed to come together as a business community, as a tourism community, with the hotel operators, the golf courses, and now we're bringing the restaurants into the fold, the amusements and the theaters, and through this 1% or $1 a night contribution, raise the kind of dollars we're talking about, and then on top of that, to have our General Assembly, through the help of our legislative delegation, and have the legislators from across the state to recognize that tourism now is the #1 industry in South Carolina, and just to get them to commit, with that big old
that $5 million check, that was unbelievable. Steve, you all up there accepting that. I mean, obviously on behalf of the chamber, to know that'll be plowed right back into marketing is tremendous.
Absolutely.
It's tremendous, and this is not old hat. I mean, this is old hat for you. You've been seeing this personally. I mean, you've been seeing this year after year where Myrtle Beach is ready for the challenge and takes it on.
We are, and it's an honor for me to serve as chairman, and particularly when I look at those who have served before me as chair, and then also just served on the board, and the ones I've served with currently, and then the ones who in the past few years, and being a part of that group, involved with that group, and the discussion we have, it's been a great learning experience for me. Things that I can take back to my business and do better, but also just to see how important it is for us to work together as a community, as a group. We could never do what we just did or what we're in the process of doing if we didn't sit down at the table together collectively and discuss it, talk about it, beat it up, change it, shape it to make it so it's going to work. And we're not there yet. We're getting better with it. So it was my turn to serve as chair, and I'm happy to do it. I'm looking forward to where we're headed.
Steve, are you originally from the area?
I am. Born and raised here.
Is that right? A Myrtle Beach native?
I'm one of the few natives nowadays, I guess you would say.
That is fantastic. Do you have family in the area still?
I do. Both my mother and my father's family are from here.
Great.
So my father's family actually came here in the 30s with on kind of a part-time venture with a lady from up in Chesterfield. He was an attorney from Chesterfield, South Carolina.
Your dad was an attorney?
My grandfather.
Or your grandfather, excuse me, in the 30s. That's right. Yeah.
And he was an attorney in Chesterfield, South Carolina, post-Depression, which was a very difficult time in rural South Carolina.
Right, yeah.
And he was a great storyteller, and one of the ones he always likes to tell was that, after getting paid with chickens and hens and hams and stuff like that for a period of time, it became very, very difficult to pay his bills and pay his mortgage. But nevertheless, he stayed up there for a while, was family court judge, was the mayor of Chesterfield, and in a part-time venture or a side venture with another lady, they bought a boarding house down here in Myrtle Beach. And it was just a beach house where they had 7 or 8 rooms, and ran it for a couple of years, and then they elevated the building and built a dining room underneath, which it became the Chesterfield Inn. And my family owned and operated it for, along with the Britton family.
With the Brittons, yes.
For close to 60 years. So Clay Britton was my grandfather's nephew, and he came down. Granddad got him to come down one summer when he was about 16.
From Alamance County, from Burlington, or that part of North Carolina, right?
That's right. And I don't know if his mother ever gave Granddad for that. I think I remember Granddad telling me that because he brought Clay down here and he never went back on. Well, he stayed down there and raised his family, and you know the story well of how successful their family has been.
Oh, yes.
A variety of different
do you all remain in some partnerships, or do you all stay active together?
Well, our families, having been together for so long, it just made sense for, as we were growing and expanding, to kind of each of us to do our own thing, to maintain relationships and partnership. But we still work together in some marketing projects and talk to each other quite a bit. And David, of course, is the immediate past chair, and he, as a matter of fact, how I became involved with the board was he called me one day and said, all right, well, we're having a meeting down at the Chamber of Commerce to talk with the board about some issues of the marketing and some ideas and concepts we have, and we need you to come down there as one of the, he's always been kind of a mentor for me, I guess you would say, of sorts. But being one of I was the token small hotel operator there. Right. So here I am 5 years later. I should have mentioned in the meeting today, Thursday, that I didn't realize it was going to turn into a 5-year commitment, but it's been great. And
we've heard that before from the likes of folks like Shep Guyton talking about. I had no idea it would be or Bernie Dove, or folks that suffered through 2 years, or I guess in that instance where you're the incoming chair, then you're the chair, then you're the immediate past chair. You've got to be in that for at least 3 years there.
That's right. And Shep had to, he was the chairman right after Ashby passed. And just to ensure that we had some continuity with the board and that the leadership, we decided to freeze the board for 1 year, or they decided at the time, which I think was probably a good decision.
Oh, yeah.
So he actually served an additional year.
It was unbelievable,
A little bit longer than everybody else. But it's been a great experience for me serving on the board, and I just have a great respect and admiration for what it is that the board does for our community.
Break that down for viewers, just so viewers understand. You all are obviously a volunteer board. How does the chamber operate, and just a little bit about what is its intention there? It's truly to grow the area.
Absolutely. Well, before I served on the board, we always participated in the Stay and Play Guide, which is the destination marketing fulfillment piece that we have. And I always bought my ad, and I knew that the chamber was a chamber of commerce, but was just not really familiar with what all it does for our community. And now, having served on the board for the last few years and working with Brad Dean and the staff that he has, and Brad is just really taking it to a new level with the
unbelievable.
The political advocacy we have and the relationships we have with our local legislative delegation, with our legislators in Columbia. The creation of the marketing co-op, which was initiated through discussions in some of the board meetings we had, and then the 2-for-1 match from Columbia. Late school, all kind of across the board political initiatives, the late school starts program, the changing of the mini bottle legislation that we had.
Very big.
So we're all have tremendous impacts on our community, as well as the I-73 project that we're kind of working on. Just so, I guess, get back to my point, it's having served for the last few years and now being chairman, I have just a great appreciation for what it is the chamber does for us and how important it is for all of us to support the chamber in any way we can. Just continue, because somebody, we're all in the business of marketing our own business. I'm a hotel operator, there's restaurant operators.
The Island Vista is going strong. You guys have had gangbuster growth the last number of years.
We've had a great start. We've been out there for a year and a half now, and we're doing well.
With the new facility, you all had a different facility and just redid it in that same location.
That's right.
Had you grown up working in that location?
No, I worked there some growing up. I actually worked at a number, as I was telling you earlier, we had the Chesterfield Inn. Our family had that, so I worked down there. And at the time, Clay Britton, which is David's father, was running that.
Yeah.
His wife ran the dining room, so I worked in the dining room for a number of years there growing up. And I worked for David at the Seacamp's house for many years, and I worked in the kitchen, bussing tables, waiting tables, just kind of every job.
Yeah.
So we all kind of, my family and the Britton family kids grew up kind of working wherever you were needed in the restaurant or the hotel part of the operation.
Right. So you obviously at some point figured out, I'm going to get back and get over to the Island Vista, get into that facility and really do it right there.
That's right. That's correct. Originally, when I came out of school, I went to the Citadel in Charleston, and at the time was considering going in the Army, get my commission and going in for a 5-year run. And my grandfather was not real happy about that. He wanted me to come back and immediately get to work. So about the time, right before I was due to graduate, was the end of the Cold War. They tore down the Berlin Wall, and they cut commissions by 60%. And so they announced that at school, and said, all right, we're cutting back the number of commissions we're issuing, and if there's any guys that are having thoughts about basically asking for volunteers, and I felt like, and Granddad was pushing me on the other side, so I felt like the writing was on the wall, and at that point I decided to come back home and not go in the Army.
Tremendous.
So we and then ultimately we ended up with the Sea Island, which is now the Island Vista.
Right.
And we decided when the market was in its fevered frenzy a couple of years ago, and we were getting approached by developers at every turn about, this is a great opportunity to renew your facility, and we sat down and talked about it and said, well, if we're ever going to do it, now's the time to do it. And so we jumped in with both feet, closed down October of 2004, and opened back up in May of last year. And,
May of 06.
May of 06.
So that's a year and a half process.
It was a little over 19 months, I think, is what the total time went down. So it was a challenge going from.
What did you do during that 19 months?
Well, there was a lot of planning involved with the working with the developer. We had David Stradinger with Winchester Development, who's now doing the North Island Plantation, was who we ended up using to develop the property. And, just being it was our first time going through that process.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine.
It was a big learning curve.
Sure.
So being involved with that, and then ramping up, and it was a completely different animal from what we had before. We were kind of a smaller mom and pop hotel operation to a bigger facility with suites, and it was come up with a new plan and a marketing and start ramping up and rolling that out. So and then. It was one of the biggest challenges we had was going from, I think we had an office staff of 8 or 10, for the most part while we were closed, and then opening 2 weeks before the summer, May 17th, 2 weeks before June 1st, going from 8 to 125 people, and hiring all those people, and then and then when you open the doors, you're right in the middle of summer. So. But that first year was rough and tough, but we got through it. Now it's a little bit smoother, and we're just still fine-tuning some things.
Sure. You've got a real popular restaurant there at Island Vista.
The Cypress Room. And it's
the Cypress Room. I've seen
a lot
some
of
gorgeous
people
ads
are not
that,
familiar with our restaurant operation, which is great. It's a nice, casual dining atmosphere. And it's an oceanfront dining room. We have a great chef.
You encourage folks in the community to come by to check it out. I mean, it's easy ingress, and I mean, good parking there, easy
Absolutely.
to get into the.
Pull in, park, and come inside and have an oceanfront dinner. You can, in this spring and the fall of the year, we have actually sliders that open up, and you can listen to the waves on the shore. And, and of course, it's a great meal. And the view, there's not many aside from the Sea Captain's house.
Yeah.
A few others. There aren't many with the Bums. On the south end, Damon's, there aren't many oceanfront restaurants. So.
There are not. There's one here at the Marriott, the Myrtle Beach Marriott Resort, obviously. Grand Dunes, it's kind of oceanfront. I mean, there's a little sliver of it. Yours, we have been to the Cypress Room. My daughter and I have been there, and it is a very long expanse, so there's a lot of... This is a non-commercial show, so I can't be pumping up your restaurant very much, but it's still a very exciting opportunity to have something like that. Of course, your location there, immediately adjacent to residential, and with residential really all around you, it's probably one of a kind.
It is, and
up and down the Strand.
It's something that we've always utilized when we market and promote ourselves to our travelers who come, and it's it is unique in that it's in a residential neighborhood, and as you know, the people that live here, you and I probably, how many times did you go to the beach last summer?
Oh yeah,
and even if the ones that have the oceanfront homes, you can look up that beach in front of those homes, and it's pretty quiet.
Very sparse.
So it's a nice, wide, expansive beach for our guests to utilize and kind of have themselves.
Our producer said you love talking about coaching basketball, playing basketball, being with your boys. You've got two sons.
I have two sons, Craig and Chris. Craig just turned 10 years old last week, and Chris is 7. And I have. They've been playing soccer for. Craig
is soccer? Okay.
I coach soccer and basketball.
Right.
Craig has just finished his football season this year. His first time playing football, and he is not playing soccer anymore. But I coached him for 5 years, and have coached Chris. Now this will be his 5th year, and of course I started out with Craig. We kind of came at my brother-in-law, and I kind of came in the back door on that. And that 2 days before my nephew, his son is the same age as Craig. And they called us before the first game, 2 days before the game, and said, "Hey, we don't have a coach for your team. If you want him to play, you need a coach."
Oh, come on.
I was like, "Well, they kind of knew us," and we said, "Well." Long story short, we said, okay, we did it. We never looked back, and here we are. So, of course, when my younger son comes up and he says, "Well, Dad, are you going to coach my team too?" And I went for soccer and basketball, so I've been doing 4 teams for the last 5 years. And
Is that tough to do? I mean, that must be. How do you learn all? Did you play all those sports?
No, I didn't. So I played a little I didn't play organized basketball growing up. Played intramurals, but just at that age, it was just kind of a fundamentals thing. And soccer didn't play any, but when they're 4 years old, just you kick the ball, you go this way, and then as we kind of grew with them, and you read up on it a little bit, and most of all, it's just a great way for me to spend time with my kids, which I'm challenged to do. All of us are challenged, I guess, who have kids with working too much and the other things that Chamber and United Way and this, that, and the other. But it's
You've been very
allocated
United
time
Way,
that I can have with my kids.
And those are your only those 2 boys,
2 boys.
Guys are great. Obviously, the experience of girls is a pretty exciting thing.
Well, I was hoping for a girl. I was wanting to do one more, and my wife said,
Steve, your time is over.
So the time is done.
Yeah.
No mas. So I finally gave up on it. After about a year, she started. It wasn't funny anymore.
No more crying. No more pressing. That's hilarious. As you think about, for you working in the hospitality industry, it is a year-round thing. It's not, hey, it's just the summertime or slam. I mean, you're going strong year-round. I mean, you've got activities. You've got to be thinking about the summer. Now the summer is how long? I mean, what is the stretch where you were really particularly hectic?
Well, the summer, we have the summer and then the shoulder season. So the summer is still, June 1st to the end of August. And thanks to another program or initiative by our political advocacy, we were able to push the school starts out to no earlier than the end of August. So that helps tremendously.
It's a full 3 months, no matter what. It's a full 3 months. But the shoulder season really begins when? Is that mid-April? through?
Shoulder season, yeah, depending on golf. I mean, it's pretty strong. March and April are the strong golf months. So and then you have it, halfway into February, you're starting to build up the golf, and then you have Martin Luther King weekend, which is a busy weekend, which is in the first weekend or second weekend in January.
Wow.
And then so you have, you kind of build on it, and you have weekends. You have the Martin Luther King weekend, then President's Day, and then and then once you get into March. So I would say, we're looking February 15th to mid to end through Thanksgiving, really. Thanksgiving's gotten to be a very popular time in Myrtle Beach, and the holidays.
Oh yeah.
You were saying earlier about the time off, the holiday. When you think about the industry or the business we're in, the holidays are when people travel. So, the 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and New Year's, we work harder than
that's right.
the other times of the year.
Else, sure.
Because that's when, in December, that's when you can get most of your revenue in December is over those holiday periods. So you kind of have to be around.
Yes. Golly, Steve, it is funny to think about that sitting either here at the Island Vista or down at the Crown Reef, or places that we think about, big hotel facilities on the Strand, that you guys are as heck. I mean, when folks want to relax, you guys are working really making it happen and making sure that we can relax.
That's right.
Making sure that we can have a great time.
And that's kind of our work. I guess you don't think of it that way, but it's what we do, and really is all of us here in Myrtle Beach. So
what's the best part of that for you? Do you really, you get your jollies by seeing other folks
I do, and
having a great
enjoy
time?
interacting with people and the guests. There's always a challenge to get down and talk, and that's kind of, particularly with our operation we had before we closed, the Sea Island. We have, in which we still offer a meal plan or a modified American plan. We have a pretty large following of people that come down because it was a niche operation, and we would have some that avoided the summer, that their kids were out of the house and they were retired, or they just like to come when the rates are a little bit cheaper, it's not as hot, the crowds aren't as bad, and in the spring they would come down 3 or 4 times, twice in the spring and twice in the fall. So and it was and they kind of looked for you to come say hello and walk through the dining room and shake their hand and tell you what's been happening for the last since the last time they were here, and in particular as we got close to closing, and then once we opened back up, so, I enjoyed dealing with the guests.
What about that transition for you where in your old, quote, mom and pop, you knew every nook and cranny of every room, you could walk through it, you'd know this, know that aspect. In a new facility, has it been difficult learning all the rooms, learning the nuances of, doorknobs, or, just, you obviously get into it deep, walking through the restaurant, as you say, still greeting everyone. Has it been a difficult transition?
It has been a transition. It's been a challenge, not only from going from we were a fee simple hotel operation to a condotel now, where we have homeowners and we are partners with them in and renting their unit to the traveling public. So so that in and of itself is a kind of a challenge, and then just the structure of your operation and that, the accounting part of it, dealing with that, as you can imagine, is completely different. And then the physical part that I think that you were describing, that we had before, we had all straight hotel rooms, and now we have suites that go anywhere from a hotel room size up to a 4-bedroom suite.
Wow.
2,300. It's like a beach house. Beach house in the sky. That's what we run as one of our packages, and it's been very popular with some of our guests.
Steve. For you, having grown up in the Myrtle Beach area, obviously seen tons of changes in the area, what sticks out in your mind as the biggest change that's occurred for the best? What really sticks out in your mind over your many years here in the area? Not to date you there, but what really sticks out as a great progress that's happened over the years?
Well, I think and you can look at this in different ways depending on your perspective, I guess. But the recent growth that we had, we have our challenges in dealing with the increased inventory, but with the flip side of that is we have some really nice accommodations that are offered in our market now, and it's kind of a segment that we really did not have before. Kind of a little bit of an upscale side, and the suites, getting away from just the small mom and pop to a certain. There's still a market for that and a niche for that. There's plenty of people who like that.
Thankfully so,
yeah. So, but just having more variety, more of it across the board, and then also the types of amusements and entertainment, the types of restaurants we have. There's just so many options and choices that we have nowadays that we can offer to the travelers when we try to promote Myrtle Beach, and I think that's a great, having a nice broad palette like that.
We just got a second reading a piece in Hotel Interactive. It was a good piece there, and it talked about the Hard Rock theme park. That's going to do a lot for the area.
I think it's a great, and we are, the Chamber is partnering up with Hard Rock and our, through the Myrtle Beach Marketing Co-op, and we can help them and they can help us, and we think it's really going to do a good job for an additional promotion and fanfare of Myrtle Beach.
Absolutely. Steve, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Definitely.
Enjoyed it.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Chairman of the Board, Steve Chapman, coming up next. I don't think Steve mentioned it, but his grandfather, for whom he was named, was Chairman of the Board 1954 to 1955. Think of those experiences more than 5 decades later, now taking on this challenge. And it is a challenge to bring the community together, to bring all the volunteers, all the chamber members, even with big cheerleaders like Brad Dean and the tremendous staff of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. There's still this volunteer board. Fortunately, Steve's mom had worked at the chamber in the 80s, and the experiences of a family tradition, not only with Island Vista and so much that's happening there on the ocean front, but also these activities in the chamber. It takes a family to really grow a market, and the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce and Steve Chapman are just that.